There's still a lot more men than women in the business, but frankly, I've had that growing up my whole life. I was an engineer by training, and more men than women in engineering. But I actually find it refreshing. It's a fun industry to be part of, and I think having the women as well as the man's perspective, we just bring a different perspective to the table, and you got to have both. And that's what's really so fun about working at Ford is we're encouraged to bring that different perspective, and that's how we end up with the best product. I'm involved with the product teams way up front in the product development process, and so as we're going through development and we're making decisions in terms of style or in terms of placement of switches or all kinds of features and things, there's a different, I think women use some features differently, and they also maybe have seen how their family, their kids, others interact with some of the features, and it's just second nature to us. And then there are things that the men bring to the party that we wouldn't think of that they think of. So, I think it really works well together. So let me start with one that happened that I'm very fond of. This goes back a few years now, but actually these door handles that we have now started as an issue. We now have pull handles, and it started from women that broke fingernails from lifting the door handles. And lots of women in the company could relate to that and said, yeah, that happens to me all the time. And so that was where it started. But as we implemented these kinds of handles, the men said, wow, these are great, much easier to use. So it starts sometimes with something that the women notice, but it applies for men too. And I think that applies across so many things. It's not a women's feature per se. It's something that they may notice something, but once you implement it, men say, oh, I like that too. We're seeing with our dealers, they're hiring a greater number of women sales consultants in their dealerships. There are also many dealers now that have women in their management, and we have women dealer owners as well. And I think what they're recognizing is, again, women have maybe expressed some different desires from the experience, but it benefits men as well. And I'll give you an example. Women have told us, I want a transparent process. I don't want to feel like I'm being cheated. I want to understand what's going on and really feel like you're being honest with me. Well, honesty isn't just something that women want. Honesty is something that everyone wants. But I think it's been articulated by women in a way that says that transparency is really important to me, and it's a deal breaker. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to reinforce with our dealers, that this isn't a women's thing, it's a consumer thing, and you need to keep it on your radar. Yeah, service is another area that, again, dealers have recognized over time. More and more women are coming into their dealership for service. It isn't something that they're giving to their husband or someone else to bring the car in. And it's the similar kind of thing where women are saying, treat me with respect, treat me with honesty, be very transparent with what's going on. And you think about that, well, honesty and being respected isn't something that's just for women, it's everyone. But it's a good reminder, and our dealers really are focusing on that going forward, how they can change behaviors. A car to me is a statement about a lot of things. One, it's the style, and I need to have a car that when I walk out to the parking lot every day, it just makes me a little happier every time I look at it, whether it's the color, whether it's the design, and it really has, I have that reaction to it every time I get in it. Once I'm inside, it's like a second home. And I'm making phone calls, and through our sync system, hands-free, you can do it without the distractions of holding a phone. But it's like a second home, and we spend a lot of time in our cars, and so it has to feel really comfortable and really part of you, and it just has to fit. And that's what I love about our vehicles. There's a distinction between women and men in terms of what they focus on with the car, at least inside at Ford. We have some of our top engineers are women, including our head of powertrain. She's our powertrain group, Barb Samardzich. She's a woman, and she's an outstanding engineer, and we have many others throughout the company that work on the development of the product. So it doesn't tend to be a distinction in terms of what they focus on, although, like I said, sometimes they do just bring a different perspective. I think there's always a little push and shove, and I don't know that it would be between the men and the women. There's oftentimes a lot of disagreement between either design or engineering or marketing. There's trade-offs, but we do work through, here the customer wants, here are the usages. Sometimes we have to prioritize, and sometimes there's some give and take. But when you deliver a product customers love, then you realize you made the right trade-offs, and that's what's really rewarding. What we find is there are people who still want horsepower, but they want it responsibly, and they're more focused on smart efficiency. So while they may still want the horsepower, it has to be efficient. It can't be these old dumb engines from the past. So things like EcoBoost that allow you to get power of a V8 but in a V6 package and the fuel economy of a V6. So it's that more horsepower per gallon kind of thing. And that's what we hear customers talking about. I only want what I need, and I'm not going to overbuy, and I don't want to overspend, and I want the most efficient, smartly engineered product I can. On the Ford Taurus, I was involved very early on in the development of this car. So I was in the studio with the engineering team along with the design team every week, making decisions about where we placed buttons, where they were easiest to reach, what would be most customer friendly, what were the prioritization of the features, everything from fabrics to colors and just the feel of the materials in it. All those little decisions we make as a team, and there's a lot of inputs into it, but really exciting to be part of that all the way up front when it was just, a car and a computer, and starting out early in the development process all the way through to where we started actually building parts and producing. I really like the car business for a couple reasons. I was never a gearhead. I was never anybody that would get underneath the hood of the car and change my own oil or anything like that. But I just find new cars really interesting, exciting. It's something that people are passionate about. And you go to a party and people have an experience, they want to tell you about their car. It's the second most expensive purchase they make, usually next to a house. And they're passionate about it. It's part of their image. And I just find that really, really exciting to be part of that. And I like being part of a product that I can point to on the road and say, I had something to do with that. I think that's really rewarding. I drive a Taurus Show, and I love it. And my husband drives a Lincoln MKT, and we have 2 little kids, and they love riding around in the back of both of them. We just love our cars.
Okay, your car. Neat, clean, tidy, or mobile first?
Mine's pretty neat, but ask my husband, he probably wouldn't say that. His is neater, but yeah, no, I still like it clean, and so I make the kids get in there and clean all their stuff out.